Hi there. I'm Tim Moen, leader of the Libertarian Party of Canada. I'm often asked the question, what does libertarian mean? Or what the heck is the Libertarian Party of Canada? How are you different than any other political party? To describe us in modern day terms, we're socially liberal and fiscally conservative. We believe in the Enlightenment philosophy of liberty that all great nations were built on. Now, this is the idea that government's only proper role is to protect individuals. And that means not imposing force on a person or property. Consenting adults ought to be left alone. Government should stay out of our bedrooms, stay out of our businesses, stay out of our wallets. So, for example, our party advocates for things like ending the prohibition on all drugs. We advocate ending the prohibition on self-defense and allowing people to own guns. We propose ending or drastically reducing the income tax and returning regulation of business to the free market where it's better regulated and more effective. For the most part, we are all libertarians in our own personal relationships. I mean, we don't impose force on other people. We trade peacefully. We don't steal from other people. We don't assault or murder our neighbors. We don't threaten violence against someone for having a different opinion than us. In libertarian circles, we call this the non-aggression principle. It's the rule that applies to everybody, universally, without exception. Simply put, my rights stop where yours start. My rights to throw my fists around stop short of hitting you in the nose. Now, everybody knows that it's immoral for me to threaten to lock someone in a cage if they say don't pay me half of their income. Most people understand that it's immoral for me to threaten to lock someone in a cage because they don't have a vegetation that I approve of in their possession. Yet most people have no problem with the proposition that if I win a popularity contest called the vote, I suddenly gain extra human rights I never had before. Suddenly I can lock people in a cage. I can threaten to destroy their lives if they don't pay me half their earnings, as long as I use the word taxation instead of theft. Suddenly it's okay for me to determine what another human being can put into their own body on threat of being locked in a cage. Or if they resist being locked in that cage and say try to defend themselves, ultimately I can kill them for not obeying. We call that law and order. Now, libertarians reject the extraordinary claim that people in government have extra rights that you and I don't have. Yet government gets its authority delegated to it from you and I. We don't have the right to use aggression. We only have the right to use force to defend ourselves from aggression. Therefore, the only right that government can properly have is the right to defend you, the right to protect the individual. So in a very real sense, we are the modern day equivalent to abolitionists. We want to abolish the immoral use of force. We want to abolish the current system of human ownership we see in our country and the world, where governments make an ownership claim on the product of your labor and your body and your private business. Now, I'm often asked how certain services will be provided if government isn't providing them. To a libertarian, this sounds a lot like the question, how will cotton get picked without slaves? What's the correct answer to that question? Should the onus be on me to provide proof that cotton can get picked without slavery before you'll accept it as immoral? No, of course not. But I understand the intent of the question. People they're immediately anxious and worried about their particular issues the minute you mention liberty. So people on the political left worry about things like poverty, healthcare, wealth inequity, environmental destruction, violence. People on the political right are concerned about things like law and order, external threats, and vice eroding the moral fabric of society. Now, of course, these are all issues that libertarians are concerned about as well. We're no different than anyone else. And even though we're concerned about these issues, we don't think that these problems are best solved or can be solved or should be solved through the initiation of force or violence. It's not moral. And the good news is that all the evidence suggests that all these issues are best solved through people interacting in a state of liberty. Poverty rates decline, war and external threats decline, the environment is protected, wealth inequity is improved, and vice diminishes. And cotton gets picked, by the way. It's still getting picked today, and we don't have slavery. As philosopher Ayn Rand pointed out, what's moral is also practical. The Libertarian Party of Canada is growing exponentially. We're the only federal party that refuses to use aggression to solve problems. We're the only party where you'll find drag queens, gun enthusiasts, fundamentalist Christians, marijuana activists, and permaculturists all actively supporting each other's right to live their own life. Now, millennials identify themselves in recent studies predominantly as socially liberal and fiscally conservative. And this is good news for the future of our country. More and more people are just tired of the status quo and are joining us to restore Canada to its foundation of liberty. More and more people are recognizing that the system we have now isn't sustainable and something needs to be done. In 50 years, when your descendants are looking back on your life and judging you through the lens of hindsight, are they going to be embarrassed that you supported the status quo? Or are they going to be proud that you were on the right side of history? Now, there's many ways you can help us spread peace and liberty in this world. One way is through the Libertarian Party of Canada. Please go to libertarian.ca and join us in changing history.